Telepathy, mediumship, clairvoyance. A 2005 Gallup survey found that 3 out of 4 Americans have at least one paranormal belief. The most commonly held conviction of those surveyed at 41% was believing in ESP or extrasensory perception. But has anyone ever definitely proven that they have a paranormal power or that paranormal powers are real? During the 1940s, a young magician named James Randi toured with a carnival, performing various magic and psychic tricks. He became dismayed with a number of people who were certain that he had mystical powers and wouldn't believe that his abilities were clever ploys. Eventually, Randi became a skeptic and debunker. In 1964, during a radio talk show, James offered $1,000 to anyone who could show scientific proof of their paranormal abilities. Since his initial offer, James has continued to investigate and debunk various paranormal and pseudoscience proceedings and beliefs. In 1996, with a donation from a friend, James created the James Randi Education Foundation, or JREF, a skeptic society set up in an office in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and issued a challenge: demonstrate evidence of a paranormal, supernatural, or occult power, and we'll pay you a cool $1 million. So has anyone succeeded in winning the money? Well, as you can imagine, a wide range of applicants who claim various powers have vied for the prize. The challenge works this way. An applicant submits a notarized form detailing their ability and proposes a test to prove the existence of their powers. JREF accepts or denies the bid based on the plausibility of the claim, possibility of proving it, level of danger involved in proving the power, and other initial guidelines. For example, JREF famously turned down Rico Colazzi, a breatharian who claimed to have survived for years without eating food. If JREF decides to move ahead with the applicant, staff and the applicant usually negotiate the protocol for the preliminary demonstration and arrange a time. The rules of the demonstration vary according to the particular paranormal power meant to be showcased. If the applicant passes the preliminary test, then they would participate in a second final test where they would demonstrate their power under stricter scientific protocol to earn the $1 million. Some interesting challengers were L. Colvin, who claimed to be a psychic attuned to Jeopardy, the quiz game show. He could predict with 100% accuracy which of the 30 squares used during the game would be the daily double before it appeared on the screen. JREF referred Colvin to a group local to him, the Seattle Skeptic Society, for preliminary testing. Colvin neither contacted Seattle skeptics nor followed up with JREF. Julian Goldberg claimed that he could emit a magnetic field from the palm of his hand at least 500 times stronger than what normally arises from the functioning of the human body. After a few emails discussing how a preliminary test would work, Julian ceased responding. Ian Leahy claimed to be able to summon unidentified flying objects for observation in the sky. Negotiations for a preliminary test broke down when JREF asked how they could know that a particular UFO was summoned by the applicant rather than being northern lights or any other weather phenomena that happened to be occurring during the time of demonstration. Hawaiian psychic Ashao Nguyen claimed to be able to mentally send words to a person who would accurately receive them and write them down. Ashao and his friends traveled to Los Angeles, where Independent Investigations Group, in conjunction with JREF, conducted a preliminary test. Before the demonstration, Ashao and his friend E, who was to receive the telepathic messages, were separated. Each was scanned with a metal detector. Furthermore, the men's shoes, ears, and the interior of their mouths were examined for transmitting technology. E was then seated at a desk in a room with only one high window. He was given a pen and 2 sheets of paper with 20 blank spaces for answers, and a cup of water. A camera was set up to record him, and a paranormal investigator with a radio would observe him. On a different floor, in a room with no outside windows, Ashao was seated in front of the other paranormal investigators, a few cameras, and a small audience. He was given a choice of 2 sealed envelopes, each containing 30 index cards. Upon Ashao selecting an envelope, an investigator opened it and had him choose 20 cards. The investigator then shuffled the 20 cards with his back to Ashao and placed them word side up on the table in view of the audience. One by one, Ashao went through the stack of cards, telepathically sending them over to E, who wrote the answers down. The investigators in each room radioed each other when each word was sent and subsequently written down. Unfortunately, Ashao failed. His receiver got the word wrong 20 out of 20 times. A few days after the test, Ashao sent an email apologizing for his strong reaction to failing the initial demonstration of his telepathic abilities and blamed his failure on the receiver, E. Ashao felt that if E hadn't been half-hearted in his participation, he would have succeeded. In the spring of 2007, after 10 years of offering the $1 million challenge, JREF tightened their criteria for accepting applicants. They were receiving several hundred claims a year and were spending a lot of time investigating ludicrous things. The new rules required applicants to have a media profile that tracked their paranormal activity. and to be endorsed by someone in academia. JREF also made the preliminary test optional, depending on the individual investigation, meaning that some applicants could showcase their extraordinary ability once to win $1 million. The hope was that the new rules would free up time and money, making it easier for JREF to challenge well-known professional psychics who were making a living off the credulous public. Yet in the summer of 2007, JREF agreed to let Rosemary Hunter do a preliminary test. Hunter claimed to have the God-given talent of being able to make people urinate with the power of her mind. While being paranormally induced to pee, a participant might also experience side effects, which included laughter, red welts, drooling, uncontrollable crying, and healing of minor injuries. Her claim was dubiously backed by a local newspaper article where the reporter felt odd when subjected to Rosemary's power. Protocol negotiation decided that Rosemary would have 15 minutes to use her paranormal urination ability on JREF manager Jeff Wegg. The guidelines for the test were, Jeff was to empty his bladder prior to the demonstration. Rosemary and Jeff would stand for the duration of the test, which would occur in a private room. Another JREF staff member would record the proceedings. A second camera would live stream the demonstration. Rosemary could touch Jeff's hand and speak if necessary, but couldn't use any props, only the paranormal ability of her mind to make Jeff pee. Jeff was not allowed to wear a diaper or any other absorbent item, but could only participate wearing regular pants and underwear. So was Rosemary able to physically induce Jeff to pee? Unfortunately, no. Most of the time, JREF had trouble getting well-known personalities who claimed paranormal abilities to rise to the occasion. Over the years, several professional psychics ignored or refused the challenge, some initially accepting it, but later backing out with various excuses. In 2001, during 2 separate appearances on the talk show Larry King Live, psychic Sylvia Brown agreed to take the JREF challenge. Later on, she refused to be tested and maintained that refusal until her death in 2013. JREF also invited psychic John Edward and James Randi's longtime nemesis Uri Geller, whom James had attempted to denounce as a con man since the 1970s, to take the challenge. Both ignored the invitation. The applicants who have attempted a demonstration and failed always have excuses as to why they failed. None ever seem to believe that they simply don't have supernatural ability. After failing a JREF demonstration of dowsing some randomly selected cards hidden in envelopes, Danish psychic/dowser Connie Sauna claimed she failed because it wasn't yet time for her powers to be revealed. In 2008, JREF publicly invited British businessman James McCormick to take the challenge. McCormick's company, Advanced Tactical Security and Communications Limited, ATSC, was making millions selling a device called the ADE-651 to security forces in the Middle East and Asia. Touted as a bomb detector, the ADE-651 allegedly could detect items including guns, ammunition, drugs, human bodies, and ivory at a distance of up to 1 kilometer, underground, through walls, and underwater. McCormick never took JREF up on the $1 million challenge. However, investigation by JREF and other groups helped to publicize the fraudulence of the device and start a police investigation into it. ADE-651 was revealed to be a glorified dowsing rod. Export of the detector was banned by the British government in 2010, and ATCS's offices were raided. Eventually, McCormick was arrested, convicted of fraud, and sentenced to 10 years in jail. Also in 2008, baby mind reader Derek Ogilvie agreed to take part in JREF's $1 million challenge as part of a UK TV documentary series Extraordinary People. For the test, Derek chose pairs of parents and children out of a group of volunteers. Derek was then isolated in a soundproof room, while the babies in a different room picked a numbered ball out of a bag, which corresponded to a specific toy that the baby was then given the chance to hold. Derek had to announce which toy the baby had chosen. Derek failed, answering all 10 chances wrong. Upon finding out that James Randi had spoken to the parent and child beforehand, Derek demanded that the test be repeated with untainted volunteers. The test was repeated, and Derek got 1 out of the second 10 answers right, so overall 1 out of 20, a normal result conforming to statistical chance. Due to criticism that valid contenders couldn't participate on the paranormal challenge because of their lack of media coverage, in 2011 JREF loosened its rules. Finally, in 2015, JREF announced Randi's retirement and shut down the challenge. JREF claims to have evaluated over 1,000 applicants and fielded communication with hundreds more. No applicant has ever succeeded in their bid and made it past the preliminary demonstration. Some saw the JREF challenge as mean-spirited, skewed, and/or disingenuous. They claimed that the rules are slanted in favor of the foundation, and there's no guarantee that the foundation would pay out the $1 million if a demonstration proved successful. In fact, there's no proof that the foundation ever had $1 million to give away. Also, since JREF could accept or deny applicants to test for the challenge, they simply turned away valid challengers with unexplainable powers to exploit applicants who made ludicrous claims and might even have been mentally ill. JREF stated that the $1 million was held in bonds and laid out their protocol for demonstrations, often publicly streaming the events over the web. Critics also pointed out that no one can perform at 100% all of the time, particularly under pressure with a public audience. If a psychic has a 50% success rate of successful sessions, the public demonstration could be one of the 50 times they fail out of 100 times they tried. Even a star pitcher isn't able to strike out every single batter 100% of the time. However, it would be unlikely that over 20 years of challenges, that every person with paranormal abilities would randomly experience failure during a demonstration. Furthermore, many of the applicants couldn't achieve any measure of success by proving at least one correct answer during the test. A number of other skeptic societies around the world continue to offer various monetary prizes for demonstration of paranormal powers. However, to our knowledge, no one has ever succeeded at demonstration for paranormal powers, and no skeptic community has ever awarded a prize for doing so. Now you get to prove your psychic abilities by choosing one of the two videos shown. One will be the perfect video for you, but we won't tell you which one. So get that ESP working and pick one now.